We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. Hey, welcome to the show. It is, it's Wednesday. We've made it to Wednesday right here on the POMcast. I'm Stephen Willis, your host. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we get started, I do want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. That is Travel and Cruise World, 1-800-330-7461. The point is, we're like 20 months into this at this point, so everybody needs a vacation. Everybody needs to get out. And Central Florida is extremely popular for vacations, as you can imagine. These guys can provide a resource. They can get you the same prices you can online, and they can provide boots on the ground in Central Florida. They can let you know if a mask is required at Disney World or Universal or at the beach or whatever business you want to go to. They'll be able to have those answers. So that's Travel and Cruise World, 1-800-330-7461, travelandcruiseworld.com. See Central Florida like a local. Also down below, you can see our major podcast. Search Positively Ole Miss. Leave a 5-star review. You can say whatever you want to. Just leave a 5-star review, and that will help us out with the algorithm with people looking for our shows. As you can tell right now, there's kind of a lot of influx starting to happen. The next 2 months, honestly, are just going to be a shit show. So just be prepared for that. I'm going to be out some. We're going to change the schedule. But after New Year, we're going to grow exponentially. There's a reason for what we're doing. And basically, it is starting with the formation of a new network. Now, it isn't an exclusive network, but it's going to be a group of podcasts that go together and exchange information back and forth with the SEC After Dark guys at the top of the pyramid. That's kind of what we're looking at. But we're going to try and fill in all the states, and all the schools are going to have representation on our network. We'll let you know the name shortly. And let you know how we're going to do this. But you can see us kind of pairing up and people carrying our shows through echoing. We're like already at like 17 or 18 signed up for it with the SEC After Dark tonight. And it's going to only grow up. If you're interested in doing that, let me know. Shoot me a DM. And I will send you the link so you can pair it with your social media, because it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Daily Motion. I mean, all of this stuff, you can pair it onto your platform. So that's pretty cool. So we have an idea, by the way. The reason we're doing this is because in January, we're going to make it to where everybody can sell on every show. Whether you're on this show or not, if you are in Georgia and want to sell to the POMcast, you can absolutely sell to the POMcast. Just I get a share, you get a share, and we call it a day. You can sell it for whatever you want to. So it's going to be an ad sales benefit to the people that join this network. How you doing, DGD Network? DGD Podcast. Sorry, got network on the brain. So there's that. Okay. If you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis or at Ole Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast, POMcast. It's right there. Well, there. Yeah, pointed the wrong way. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe and hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And no matter how you want to watch the show, what's on, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because their notification system is the best. It's not even close. You'll absolutely know what's going on. So subscribe and hit the bell whether you're watching on YouTube or not. And also, we're on Positively Ole Miss on Twitch, all lowercase, all one word. So, I was sitting here thinking back and forth, like with A&M coming to town and what needs to happen. And I keep going back to two keys that I think we're going to see quite a bit of. And, there might be different ways that you attack, and they may have seen things with the film versus Mississippi State. They might have seen things on Alabama. They might have figured out little things that they can exploit. But from what I can see, the thing that everybody needs to know is Texas A&M has the best defensive line in the SEC that we will see. They're not Georgia. Georgia's number one, but we don't play Georgia. This is the best defensive line that we will see. So it is going to be important to get them tired. Now, what does that mean? That means staying on the field offensively. So you need to figure out a way to get first downs. But it also means lots of jet sweeps, lots of outside zones, lots of tempo, going faster than you've gone all year. You need to kind of push the limit on that. Now, people talk about Ole Miss and penalties, and that's going on. A lot of that is because they go so quickly. That's kind of important to know. What they say is anybody can go quickly, but who can execute the faster you go? That's the difference. This year's team, they're going as fast as they normally want to go, but there's some procedural penalties that pop up from time to time on this team. So some ticky-tacky 5-yard penalties one way or the other. Now, there are some timely 10-yard penalties and some pass interference and things that happens, but that would have happened if they go slow or if they go fast. That's the point of that. But the idea is we need to go side to side. We need to absolutely go side to side and force that defensive line to run and to snap the ball and force them to run over and over and over again. And they will eventually get tired. The second group of A&M defensive linemen, although talented, are not the first group, but we need to get the first group off the field. That's going to open up the inside run game. That's going to open up a ton of stuff. Now, this is a team that's not exactly afraid of any defense and any powerful environment because they do use that jet sweep and force them to run and all that to get them tired. But if you let them, A&M's defensive line will take over the game. That will absolutely happen. They will absolutely take over the game. And you need to figure out a way to neutralize them. And that's what I think coming back to it on key one. Outside zone, jet sweep, and tempo to get them as tired as possible to where all of a sudden you can do some stuff inside. You can do some stuff outside. Make them run side to side. Run as many plays as possible. It is important to stay on schedule this week against A&M. And second, you need to stop A&M's running game enough to force them into third down, to where you can tee off. Ole Miss leads the nation in sacks. They get after the quarterback and do a really good job of it. They sacked Malik Willis like 9 times last week. And Ole Miss has had struggles going against a team that had a dual threat running quarterback. You saw with KJ Jefferson. You saw with Bo Nix. You saw, he didn't really do it, but Bryce Young. Those guys forces Ole Miss to play kind of with a spy, which affects their running game a little bit because there's somebody that's paying attention to the quarterback more than the running back. There's no spy in this game. Zach Calzada, who's actually from Georgia, by the way, DGD podcast. I didn't know if you knew that. You probably did, but whatever. Is more of a statuesque pocket passer. He wants to stand back there, scan the field, go through his reads, and deliver the ball. So, need to get him off his spot. To do that, we need to stop the run on first and second down, because if it's 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, 1st and 10, you're never going to beat A&M, because that's what they want. A&M runs for 200 yards a game, throws for 191. Arkansas did a fine job against this defense. That's the first time they've seen one of these drop 8s was against Arkansas, A&M's offense really struggled. They will be a little bit better this week because the second time they have seen it. So, and also Calzada is a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident. It is what it is. But we're talking about a really cool thing. Like, everybody get up and watch game day. Everybody have fun. I'm interested to see who the guest picker is and all of this stuff. But it's going to be a fun week of football. Now, I started with football, but Ole Miss debuted last night against UNO, the Privateers, in basketball. I think Ole Miss won 82-61. Now, you look at this game, Ole Miss had 5 players in double figures. They didn't overly rebound well for as big as they were. That was a little bit concerned, but it's the first game of the year. I'm not overly worried about that. Friday night, they play Charleston Southern. There was one player that scored 21 points for UNO, so other than that, they scored 41. But this team looked athletic. Really athletic, actually. Just fast. And I don't know what exactly caused that. Maybe it's the transfers. Maybe it's the Deshaun Ruffin, who is going to be the starting point guard by the time SEC play hits. You can just automatically see the first game. He's going to be the starting point guard. Jarkel's going to go out to the 2, and then Ole Miss will have some options with how they want to play with Jamin Brakefield and Nasir Brooks and Matthew Morrell and those guys. All those guys picking up because it's a deep team. Now, we don't know how good of a team this is. But last night you can see that they were a deep team. There was a whole bunch of guys 1 through 10 that really look kind of the same level. So I'm interested to see what development looks like. Brakefield kind of picked up his game in the second half last night. He probably had some nerves at the beginning of the game, but was able to become a little bit of a force. I think he's going to end up playing the 4. I saw a couple of spin moves, so he's going to have to D up pretty well with what he's doing. But if you do that with Nasir Brooks and lock down the low post, all of a sudden you have 3 swing guys that can play guard to fly around Matthew Morrell, Ty Fagan, and all those guys, along with Luis Rodriguez, who had 3 steals last night. So 5 players in double figures. Luis Rodriguez had 9. So it was interesting to go, and I do expect Deshaun Ruffin to be the starting point guard by the time SEC play hits. Real quick, let's do a little UNO post game, about 3 minutes, and you can hear from Kermit and all of that stuff, and we'll come back and talk about that a little bit.
Left-handed shot over a 7-footer.
That is a high percentage look for Nasir Brooks. It's taken away by Crowley. 2-on-1, the lob, and the finish for Jarkel Joyner. St. Hilaire pulls up, feeling it. That's 2 trips in a row.
Good defense.
Shot clock at 1 and a banked-in 3 for Saki. This ball knocked away. Matthew Morrell out in front of the pack, jams it home. And Ole Miss ties it at 17. Crowley. Brakefield with Joyner trailing. Jarkel Joyner on the receiving end. Mark Schlesinger wanted a foul. Other way, tipped around, won't fall. Ole Miss gets another chance. That's rejected. Big time block by Robbie Robinson. St. Hilaire, little Euro step and lays it in.
Pull it back up. You want to throw passes like that to him.
Rodriguez with the run through still. Highlight real time for Luis Rodriguez.
Come from good basketball programs.
Brakefield with the 3 from the corner. Jamin Brakefield gets the bucket. Sammy Hunter. Count the basket and 1. A little baseline jumper from about 10 feet for Sammy Hunter. 21 points on 9 of 15 shooting for Derek St. Hilaire. He's got 3 threes as well. Brooks now at double figures after the dunk. And a steal, a little bit of a loose pass there from Ruffin, and Dowdy gets the dunk on the other end. Luis Luis Rodriguez. How about that baseline runner? Good feed and a strong finish. Partner on the far side. And then a turnover by Ole Miss as Ruffin lost the handle. St. Hilaire dumps it off. And a strong finish there. Saki with 5 to shoot. Gives it away, gets it back, lets it fly, and he got it. Long 2 for Saki. For John Stroud, I'm Richard Cross. So long for Oxford. Final score, 82-61. Ole Miss over UNO. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
I found some positive things in the game tonight. Thought New Orleans fought it hard, physical team. A team that a lot of people picked to win the Southland. I thought in the first half we got over 40. I didn't think our ball movement was great. Made some good individual plays. So in the second half, the ball moved better. Almost 6 guys in double figures. Tonight, everybody got a chance to play in the game. What's been a positive of our team since we've gotten together in June is assist to turnovers. Hope that stays the same because it's been that way the 3 times that we have played. We've got to improve rebounding the ball. Not offensive rebound the ball like we need to, but to shoot over 52, 43, or I guess we got 40, what did we get, 30, where did we go from 3, man? I can't see it. 41%, yeah, 41% from 3 is a good number for us.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show, the POMcast, which, by the way, that stands for Positively Ole Miss Cast. That's what POMcast is. So, Ole Miss, an 82-61 victor over UNO last night. It was a team that you could see some positives developing and to see what they can build on down the road. They've got Charleston Southern Friday night. I expect that they will do a similar type performance as they did, and they'll win that game. And then they go off and I think they play Marquette and West Virginia and that next week. So it is what it is. I just did that to mess with my wife, who says I said that too much on the show the other day. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to give you a few minutes back today, but we're going to go back to talking football. Because that's what we do. We want 80% of our shows to be about football, because that is what the most people care about and want to hear about. And it's amazing whenever you look at things, you start talking about basketball and the followers just start disappearing when you start talking basketball and baseball at Ole Miss. Now, there are people that care about that. There's not as many people that care about that. So, like Becky, this is for Becky. It is what it is. So, Ole Miss versus Texas A&M. I believe it's at 7 o'clock, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. What time's the game? I wonder. Anybody in the chat have that real quick? And let's see. We'll get this up. This is going to be fantastic. Pod, but we'll get it up and get it done. And 7 o'clock Eastern, so 6 o'clock Central, on ESPN. One of my favorite things going on, because what this weekend is more than anything is an example that the last 5 years just didn't matter, because The media, you probably saw a tweet of it, but let's just talk about this and work through this for the next 10 minutes or so. The media, the NCAA, and a rival school conspired to cripple Ole Miss to the point where SMU level violations where Ole Miss would not come back. They just couldn't handle, and they decided to take down Ole Miss at all costs, write a book about it, do whatever they need to do, even though whenever you actually read through the infractions, everybody's like, what? It was like, what? And the only person that you can prove that actually did the pay for play that got Ole Miss in a bunch of trouble is the school that was writing the book about Ole Miss. So that is the baseline for what I'm about to talk about. All of that going on over 5 years. You had the media piling on to Ole Miss talking about how it was a runaway train and that it needs to be dealt with. And you had books being written about Ole Miss and this horrible scandal that was going on that actually just amounted to a player sleeping on a couch in a loaner car. But it was one of those things where the early take had to be the final take. You had to defend that at all costs. So in 2016, before it all came out, they said that Ole Miss was SMU. And then whenever you looked at it, and it was like, well, Ole Miss isn't SMU. That's not even close. Ole Miss might not even get a bowl ban. And then they started going over and over and piling on. And then Tom Mars was hired to get players off of Ole Miss's roster. And the program kind of cratered in 2017 and 2018. I think in 2018, 2 players from Mississippi was signed. Think about that. 2 players. That was Tylen Knight and Quentin Bivens. They were signed in 2018. That was the impetus for the Mississippi-made class. People want to bitch about that class, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, that's your prerogative. Everybody has the right to be wrong. But in 2019, the Mississippi-made class was basically about trying to round up as many players as possible. It was a response to the year before when they signed 2. It wasn't about trying to get Nakobe Dean, who was in that class. We'd have loved to get Nakobe Dean, but everything was on the higher level players. They were going to struggle to come to Ole Miss because the national media and everybody was telling them that Ole Miss is going to get the death penalty. I mean, that's what they were telling them. But Ole Miss was able to get some solid classes, including a 5-star. Jerry and Ely was a 5-star from the 2019 class. They were able to reel him in. John Rice Plumlee. The offensive line was built up from that class. There's so many players from that 2019 class playing valuable minutes right now. The Mississippi-made class, if anybody makes fun of it, it is because they don't know better. Okay, so all of that is said to say this. Saturday is the proof that none of that mattered. You made Ole Miss go 4-8 one year. That was your goal. I mean, that's the worst you did. Those 4-8 teams weren't going to a bowl anyway. So it doesn't matter. But now that game day's back in town, your main goal of destroying Ole Miss football did not work, even a little bit. If you look down here, right there, it just did not work. And the hilarious thing, I bring all of that up to bring this up. The 11 o'clock game on ESPN, or noon game on ESPN, is Mississippi State and Auburn. So State fans have to tune in and see the mascot selections and everything going on in the Grove and just sit there and stew over and over about how much it backfired and didn't work. You see, the key to understanding a fan is that they honestly believe how they feel right now about their team and how their team is right now will stretch on for eternity. So if you have a bad team, it's going to be a bad team forever. If you have a good team, it's going to be a good team forever. There are people right now that anytime Alabama loses a game, loses their mind. because they assume that all Alabama is going to win every game. Now, it's a condition that is absolutely weird, but the main thing to understanding college sports is understanding that. If you take that from the starting point, you can work backwards. If you understand that change comes and that doesn't happen, you can realize that Ole Miss can hire somebody like Lane Kiffin and everything can change pretty much overnight, especially now with the transfer rule and you can sign 32 players. It's all there to build and build quickly. And they were able to do that. They were 4-5 last year, went to the Outback Bowl and beat Indiana. Walked into this season with all kind of momentum. They've been ranked since the first win. They beat Louisville. They got ranked. They've been as high as top 10 in the nation. They beat A&M. They'll probably be top 10 in the playoff rankings. It is what it is. I mean, there's no real beating around the bush. This is a good team. This is a backfield of Henry Parrish and Snoop Connor and Jerry and Ely. That is special. Matt Corral is the best player in college football when he's healthy. He's the best player in the SEC at about 85%, 80%. Hendon Hooker, though, should be, I'll say this, Hendon Hooker probably should be the offensive player of the year right now, just because he's playing off the charts. But Matt Corral is special. This week, I expect Matt Corral to run. I expect this to be the closer to Tennessee version of Matt Corral as opposed to the Liberty version. So it is what it is. They threw the ball quite well against Liberty. Dennis Jackson had a fantastic day. John Rice Plumlee had a fantastic day. Braylon Sanders had a couple of nice catches, so he could come back. The weakness of the Texas A&M defense has been their secondary. If you can force their defensive line to be tired and to give yourself a little bit of time, this is a team that can be gotten defensively. They're a good defensive team, and they have elite players. And Mike Elko's a hella defensive coach. And I'm interested to see what he is going to do against our defense, because even though this is Lane's second year at Ole Miss and Texas A&M is a divisional opponent, this is one of those weird times to where you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the game plan for Texas A&M is going to look like. Is it going to look like Tennessee? Is it going to, are they going to try to win the line of scrimmage? Probably. I mean, their best players are the defensive line. So, like I said earlier, you hit them with jet sweeps, you hit them with outside zone, you hit them with bubbles, anything to make those defensive linemen run, that is what you do. Just because it's going to be necessary with these guys to make them tired. Because if they take over the game, which they can do, Ole Miss is in a little bit of trouble. The other side of the ball, stop the run on first and second down, force them into third down, and then you can tee off on Calzada, who's a little bit of a statue in there. So that is something interesting to see as well. I think Ole Miss has 3 players with over 5 sacks, something crazy. Anyway, I'm going to give you a little bit of time back today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoying the show and doing whatever you have to do. So thank you very much for that. Tune in tonight for SEC After Dark at 8:30 Central with Corey Burt and Jeb Beecham, myself, and Jake Thomas. We're going to lead you through last weekend and talk about the preview for this weekend. And of course, Thursday night is Talking Ball with Bill Flowers. Friday night is the Biscuits and SEC preview. If you're interested in echoing them, let me know. Shoot me a DM. I will send you the link to be able to do so. And if you are interested in maybe potentially becoming part of this little network idea that we have going on, let me know. This is going to be a little bit, there's a little bit you have to do, but there's kind of content that is given to you that you can use and you can sell on. So that is the idea. So thank you very much for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow. Until then, hotty toddy.